All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the official Detroit Lions 2023 NFL Draft Q&A. We're live. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. I hope you all enjoyed your Friday night. Adham, Beydoun, Jeff, Iafrate, as always. What's up, buddy?
I'm feeling good. It's been an interesting 2 days. A roller coaster of emotions, if you will, from the first round to now the second and third round. Brad,
yeah.
We talked about painting a canvas. Brad is slowly starting to paint that canvas.
Okay, well, look, I want to get some things off my chest, and then I'll share my feedback on the picks. Would love to hear yours, and then today I just want to make it about you guys. So you guys ask any question about the team, the player, the draft picks, what you like, what you didn't like. Feel free. Today, the next hour and a half is just going to be about you guys. But I have an issue with the NFL right now. How is Brad Holmes allowed to trade back 5 times and forward in total, 5 times last night, for relatively nothing? Like, do NFL GMs not see the 313 area code and go, fuck that, I'm not answering it? Because even if I think I win the deal, I'm not. The Packers gifted the Lions Brian Branch, and they asked for nothing. That trade blew my fucking mind.
By the way, Brian Branch, so excited that he's a Detroit Lion. Because this is somebody that we mocked for a while in the first round. We knew he was a first-round pick, one of the best safeties, the best safety in the draft. And there he is. He's available. Lions go up and get their guy, and I love it. Because we talk about this all the time. CJ on a 1-year deal. Again, Tracy Walker coming off an Achilles injury. Brian Branch played most of his playing career at Alabama in the nickel. He can play multiple positions, but again, he's a football player, and those are the type of guys that Brad and Dan have been pursuing this entire time. He's a perfect fit.
I won't lie to you guys, okay? I was frustrated last night, okay? And I wasn't frustrated for the reasons you think. I was genuinely happy to be as frustrated as I was, and I know there's been a lot of talk for months now leading into the draft. But, one of the common things I think you and I would have a conversation about was, hey, this year is different than last year. Last year was so easy to predict and expect what the Lions could or should do that every pick they made in the draft, you were like, yeah, cool, love it. Brad Holmes, let him cook, right? That's the mantra around town today. And then this year, from Jahmyr Gibbs to Sam LaPorta, for fuck's sake, the only one that made sense at the time they took him was Brian Branch and Hendon Hooker. That's how unfucking predictable the Lions front office were this year. And you know what? I can be frustrated. I mean, it's fine, but that's actually a good thing. Mm-hmm. I don't see that as a bad thing. Now, we want to get to the picks. The picks are what they are, man. They are what they are. Doesn't matter what I wanted, even though I really like the players they got, and right. 3 of them I really like, really like. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you wanted. It doesn't matter what Jeff wanted. It doesn't matter anymore. The players and the picks are what they are. All right? So now let's look at this football team, because nothing is going to change the players that they took. They're here. Mm-hmm. Embrace it. Let's move forward, okay? They are what they are. I'll tell you what I'm happy with. I'm happy with Jack Campbell at 18. I defended it day 1 after they took him. I'm going to keep defending it. I had him as a late first-round grade. You came on with that as well later on.
Yeah.
Here we are. I don't mind it. I can live with the Campbell.
Best linebacker to me in the draft.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love the Brian Branch pick, obviously.
You know I do,
The
too.
value, where they got him. I'd love to see the medical. I want to understand why arguably the best safety in the draft fell to the second round. There had to be something, but at the end of the day, that is the leader of a Nick Saban coach defense. Mm-hmm. I think he provides a ton of value for the Lions day one. You don't have to wait for Brian Branch to contribute. And then, of course, Hendon Hooker. I love the pick. And I love the pick because it's insurance. If you never get into a car wreck, great. You don't have to use it. And if you total your car, that's what insurance is for. I have no problem with Hendon Hooker. Let him rest. Let him learn the playbook. Let him get acclimated. He's an adult, 25 years old. I spent a third-round pick on him. Zero risk involved. Zero risk involved.
Right.
And that is my future expected backup to Jared Goff. Whether or not they extend Goff, this is all talk we have all the rest of our lives to do. It doesn't matter. Overall, I like the pick. And then there's Gibbs and LaPorta. Okay? I just got to be honest. You want me to lie? You want me to sit up here and lie to you? I can't do that.
No.
I still have a hard time digesting Gibbs at 12, okay?
Okay.
That doesn't mean I haven't accepted it. It's tough. How I feel about first-round running backs, what the data tells me, the money involved, the second contracts never working out for these backs. I'm going to forget all that, okay? And I'm going to play along with all of you this morning in the game of, I actually think he's a really good running back. Mm-hmm. I think he adds a lot of dynamic, explosive plays to this offense, especially in the pass-catching area of his game. If it is Alvin Kamara 2.0, no one's going to be happier.
Right.
Okay? But I heard Alvin Kamara 2.0 with Swift. That's a whole different headache. But there's nothing I can do. They took him at 12. What the fuck am I going to do? Sit here and bitch and complain? There's nothing I can do. So all I can do is look at the football player and what do I expect from him? Well, I expect him to be a really damn good football player. Clearly, because Brad Holmes valued him so much that he was a second running back off the board as early as 12. In a year where we expected secondary player after edge rusher to go anywhere from 8 to 17, no doubts. Okay? And then Sam LaPorta. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. The whole Iowa connection, I know Neil Rule's going to lose his shit, but the kid's a good tight end.
Yeah. And
the kid can do a lot of different things. The Lions are notorious for 2 tight end sets. This is not the end of the world. This doesn't devalue their offense. They upgraded.
They did.
They upgraded at tight end, and I'd be a liar if I said they didn't. Mm-hmm. Do I like the idea of tight ends? Do I like the idea that I think the number is in the last 10 years, only four players have been taken in the top 20, or excuse me, in the top 35 of the NFL draft at the tight end position. 3 of them have been drafted by the Lions. It's not the best.
But how many of those have been drafted by Brad Holmes?
Well, I know, and you know what? You can all say that this morning, and that's fair, and that's not my argument.
Right.
It's just we keep doing the unconventional, even though it hasn't worked. But again, I can't do anything about the picks. They are what they are, right? So that's how I feel this morning.
And you have to look at the context of each pick, because I know Sam LaPorta, again, I mentioned Sam LaPorta about a month or two ago in the 3rd round. You took him in the 2nd round. The big thing to take away is Jahmyr Gibbs at 12. And as much as, GMs have been communicating and Brad's been willing and dealing, him mentioning the Patriots being a threat or teams calling him and complimenting the Jahmyr Gibbs pick, I do believe there's some truth to that. Whether you agree with the running back in the 1st round or not, you have to look at all these picks in totality. So he takes Jahmyr at 12 with a team after 12, maybe the Patriots at 14, that were at risk of taking Jahmyr Gibbs. And then you get Jack Campbell, Jack Campbell to me, and I think most would agree, the only linebacker with a 1st-round grade. So you got Jahmyr Gibbs. Some had him as the number 1 running back. Most had him as the number 2 running back. You get Jack Campbell, the best linebacker in the draft, the only one worth the 1st-round grade. And then you get Sam LaPorta. But here's the thing. It's not about Sam LaPorta. Look what happened after Sam LaPorta. Tight ends went on a run. I mean, you started seeing Michael Mayer. Everybody else started taking tight ends. A handful of tight ends went after Sam LaPorta. So the real evaluation comes when Sam gets on the field, because we have to see if he's the best tight end or one of the best tight ends. He was the 2nd tight end taken. We need to see it. But just for Brad to get who he wanted at tight end, and then tight end started going, and then you took Brian Branch, you trade up and get him, and then Hendon Hooker. He's putting this thing together. If you just look at each player individually, they're all going to be able to contribute. Besides Hendon, he'll be able to sit behind Jared, learn from Jared, and Brad even mentioned it. He's got tremendous upside, which that means something, because they're not just taking Hendon Hooker just to be a backup. They see something in Hendon. Not saying he's going to replace Jared, but hey,
what do you think about that?
If Hendon keeps improving, there's something there.
Because there are people out there that are anointing Hendon Hooker as the future. I didn't see the Hendon Hooker draft pick as a statement of intent by the Lions to look to the future beyond Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is a starter in 23, obviously, and 24, I think, with no doubts. I find it very hard to believe unless Hendon Hooker shows up to camp and gives the Lions Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson-esque flashes in camp, like they both did, obviously, and took over the job. Russell day one and Patrick Mahomes a year later. Unless he gives that, which would be behind closed doors, I expect Goff to be the starter for the foreseeable future, and I wouldn't be shocked if they extended him. And you know what? In this version of reality, let's say Goff is playing very well, you're winning divisions, and you're winning playoff games. And Hendon Hooker is also a very good player. And he's shown some on-field, Goff missed a few games, 2-3 games like Jimmy Garoppolo played in place of Brady, and he balls out but with this offense. Maybe that's worth a second-round pick.
Right.
So there you go. You flip your third for a second in the future. Or Goff goes down. You have a competent backup. But by no means do I expect Hendon Hooker, with that pick, for the Lions to sit back in the front office and say, man, that's the guy. Time is ticking on Jared Goff. Right. I don't see it. And I think the only way Goff plays his way out of Detroit is exactly how I just said it.
Yeah.
Plays his way out of Detroit.
And
he's got to play really bad.
Yes, but at least now you have someone behind Goff. And Brad talked about that too yesterday, about they've been trying to upgrade the quarterback room for over a year. They weren't able to do it last year. It's the first quarterback this regime has drafted, so that means something. And for Hendon Hooker, who before his ACL injury was going to win the Heisman and probably would have been a late first-round pick, you got him in the third. So for value, it's extremely valuable. Whatever you think about Hendon Hooker or not, like he's a dude. Now, we'll see with the age. I mean, there's a lot of question marks you have with Hendon. But the big part to take away is he's a third-round pick. Like, there's little risk involved with this pick.
There's zero risk.
Now,
and there's only upside to this.
Ton of upside.
Zero, I'm going to be upset if Hendon Hooker flops or he isn't any good or he's a shit bat. Nothing. I'm not going to be mad about the pick. Not even 1%.
No, it's
zero
value.
risk.
Yeah, you got a guy who, if he didn't get hurt, would have been a late first. You got him in the third round.
What have Lions fans been bitching about for almost 2 years now? Linebackers and quarterback. Notably backup quarterback.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
You got a linebacker, the best one in my opinion in the draft. You would agree, obviously. And they got a quarterback that will back up once he's healthy. And I think that's great. And I don't care about Hendon Hooker's age because I spent a third-round pick on him, guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think a third-round pick is telling Jared Goff the time's ticking here.
Patriots were doing this with Brady, and they ended up flipping a lot of those guys for assets, to your point. So at the worst-case scenario, even if Goff plays extremely well and you re-sign Goff, even having Hendon Hooker, like, there's still value. He's still a good player. So regardless, he has time to learn, time to rehab from his injury. I'm assuming that even this year, you assign somebody to be with Hendon Hooker, kind of like somebody was with Patrick Mahomes when he was in Kansas City, just coaching him. And it's still, there's a lot there, a lot of upside there.
If I may, I want to get to the chat now so we can start Q&A. Everybody stop dropping your questions. Before we get to them, though, I gotta talk about this dude. This is hilarious. Hooker. Wait, where's the comment? God damn it. It's somewhere here.
And I like the Hooker, by the way.
Hooker gets a pass on his age.
Okay.
Stetson Bennett gets trolled mercilessly for it. I'm going to play the race card here. All right? White boy Stetson Bennett is a decent college quarterback. Zero upside in the NFL.
Yeah.
He can't make NFL throws. Go look at the film. Hendon Hooker can make all the throws in the NFL.
Stetson's 5'10".
I'm not even going to acknowledge any slander on the Hendon Hooker pick. Given there's zero risk, it's a third-round pick, and I could care less. I think they walked away with very good players. A lot of upside. Brian Branch, obviously the highest value pick. If Hendon Hooker ends up being anything above an average quarterback, that's a home run pick alone. If Hendon Hooker turns out to be Jared Goff 2.0
on a rookie deal,
that alone is an A++ pick. Now, if he ends up being Teddy Bridgewater, if he ends up being 70% of Kirk Cousins, or he's a Ryan Tannehill, it's still like a B-, B grade.
It's a third rounder.
You're going to flip that for a third or even a second-round pick. Right. Jimmy Garoppolo, case in point. So...
And by the way, this is just another. This is a a negotiation tactic for the Lions as well with Goff. Like, you're going to have to bring Goff to the table soon and at least negotiate something if you're interested. If not, you have Hendon Hooker. So at least the Lions now have some leverage, as in the past they did it. You had Sudfeld, and that's it. You got to get somebody behind Goff.
I'm going to the table in, a year and a half to talk with Jared Goff.
Yes.
Not even. Sooner than that, probably. Probably at the end of this year.
Yes.
I'm going to Jared. I'm saying you have a year left on your deal. And I got to put context in this, so let's talk about what I think happens this year. 9.5 win total. I haven't seen it adjust yet in Vegas. I expect them to win the division. I expect them to win 11 games. I expect them to host a home playoff game, which would be nice. First time ever in Ford Field. Mm-hmm. And what happens after that, I'm not really concerned. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But the point is, let's say the Lions have a successful season. Okay? Jared, you had a very good year. You just stood for 4,300 yards, 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
Yep.
We like the way you're playing. But Jared, we're not paying you Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert money. So here's our offer. We'll give you $42 million. We'll give you $40 million. And you know what, dude? If it's not good enough and you want to go test the market, be our guest.
Yeah, go ahead.
But we got a kid now just waiting. And we have no issue moving on because at the end of the year, we can save $25 million in cap space.
Right.
And we're going to be a very happy football team. Now, I don't think they'll be as direct. I don't think they'll be that rude to Jared. So excuse if I come off pretty damn rude. But the point is, I think both parties are going to understand. If Jared Goff is playing well, I do think the Lions are going to stick with him. But if Hendon Hooker, like I mentioned earlier, showing flashes of Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes behind closed doors, and Brad Holmes and the staff are really falling in love with him,
Right.
They'll move off Jared Goff without even getting to the table for a contract extension.
And you know what makes it even more interesting is Hendon Hooker is like the complete opposite of Jared Goff in terms of what he brings. Mobility, his deep ball, his strongest part of his, at least him playing quarterback. You talk about his mobility before the ACL injury, what he could do, like Brad Holmes, Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, they're chomping at the bits to see what Hendon Hooker can do. So again, he's 25, but still in the third round, still a ton of value there. And again, just to have a guy behind Goff on a rookie deal, that's important. Because Goff's coming up down the pipeline right now for an extension. You got to have some sort of plan B. And Hendon Hooker, I think, personally, can be that plan B. It's got a ton of upside. Even at 25
how
years
much
old,
risk is involved here?
little to none.
I think
That's all
zero
that matters.
risk.
And you got to think, too, and I said this on Friday after the draft, I think people a little bit are overrating this draft as a whole. And I think that's part of why Brad is trading up.
How so?
Because, look at this is my conspiracy theory. Brad Holmes he traded up twice, and he's been going after guys he wants. A part of that, to me at least, I believe that once you get to the 5th round, 4th round, whatever, 6th round, 7th round, I think Brad is understanding that the guys he wants, like who he's been taking, some of the best players at their own position, he'd rather get those guys than stay in the 5th round.
Without sounding like an asshole, last year and 2021 in his first draft, those are all still Brad Holmes guys.
Yes.
How many of them have hit? How many have missed? Right? Every year when he's the GM, they're his guys. Just like the dude out in Minnesota, his last name is way too complicated for me. They got their guys. Chicago, Poles, they got their guys. It's always going to be that. What does Brad Holmes got his guys mean exactly? Mm-hmm. He's always going to get his guys, right? He's drafting them. He's making the selection. It doesn't mean shit to me. What matters at the end of the day is, I think, like you said, there's a lot of value in that second round. They maneuvered for basically nothing. And I'm still shocked Green Bay didn't really just drive a hard bargain and try to get way more out of an in-division rival.
Right.
With the best secondary player at the safety position on the board. That to me was fucking insane.
Letting AG get his hands on Brian Branch. Yeah, that's...
Well, that's like giving AG $1 million. He's not going to know what to do with it at this point.
Right.
AG's got a lot to prove this year.
Mm-hmm.
They got to look like what they looked like down the stretch for a consistent part of the season, not just a team that shows up, gives you a top 15 defense for 6 weeks, and then they give up 40, and then they give up 38, and then they'll put in a good performance against Green Bay. I'm not into that shit.
Yeah.
So AG, hopefully, he's got a lot of a lot of support this year. I'm expecting a lot from this team, man.
And to be honest with you, if you look at, and Sam mentioned this when I was talking to Sam about it, we were talking about how not top heavy, or excuse me, how top heavy this draft wasn't. Like, it's deeper draft, especially in the second and third round. There's a lot of players that were still there. I mean, Brian Branch, we mentioned it, Hendon Hooker, guys that were mocked in the first round. Even some of the tight ends that were even mocked in the first round as well, like a Michael Mayer. He fell even later than Sam LaPorta. So, again, for Brad to trade up and have multiple picks between the second and third round, a lot of value there. And Brad was playing chess, and he got the guys he wanted. So, still, it was a success.
All right, I want to drop one more thing, okay? And then we'll get to Q&A. I want all of you at home, let's do a little exercise here, okay? Mm-hmm. Let's all put ourselves into the mind of a defensive coordinator and head coach of an opposing team, okay? I want you to close your eyes and think about it this way. I got to deal with a top 5 offensive line now. I got to deal with a backfield that fields David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, both very different running backs, but both make a lot of people miss. And I have to hold myself accountable to the Lions' run game. Cool. After that, Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the most reliable third down wide receivers in all of the NFL. Jameson Williams, when he returns from his suspension, we'll get to that. But the Lions offense has proven to me last year, it doesn't matter who's on the field, they're going to produce for the most part. So now I got to deal with their 2 tight end sets. I got to deal with heavy play action. And I got to deal now with Sam LaPorta being one of those tight ends that on a strong play action to the right is going to be the tight end that pulls a drag route across the field, like that Brock Wright tight end, I want to say, against the Giants.
The Jets.
Or the Jets, thank you. I knew it was a New York team. And I'm going to have to deal with a lot of that, all the while having to commit to the run game, all the while committing to Amon-Ra St. Brown, all the while making sure I have a deep safety because I don't want to get fucked by Jameson Williams. That is what the Lions are bringing to the table next year. Think about that.
Well, they upgraded significant positions, like even tight end, for example. Sam LaPorta walks into that tight end room, and he's already one of your better tight ends, like before he even plays. If you look at the college film, his ability to break tackles, Sam LaPorta's good. I mean, Iowa, there's a reason why they've been producing so many good tight ends out of Iowa. Say what you want about Iowa, but Jack Campbell, for example, he's going to walk into that linebacker room and compete with Anzalone for really not only the signal caller on defense, but your number one linebacker. And then you got Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to take DeAndre Swift's spot right away. He brings a similar skill set, in my opinion, higher upside. And again, you're going down the draft. Even Hendon Hooker, for example, the insurance policy you got on Goff. Like,
I don't get the Iowa hate. Iowa puts out good football players, man.
Especially tight ends. I mean,
I think that's even overrated a bit. They put out good defensive players, good offensive linemen.
Yes.
I mean, they've put out Tristan Wirfs. They've put out Amani Hooker on the safety side. These are just players currently in the NFL. Riley Reif. You've got, obviously, Hawkinson, Kittle. I don't want to go through the tight ends. Brandon Sheriff. You've got, what the hell's his name? Matt Nelson. Plays for the Lions, for Christ's sake. Matt Nelson is a former Iowa Hawkeye. You got AJ Espinenza. You've got Tyler Linderbaum, center for Baltimore. Like, they put out good football players. Those are just current good football players in the NFL right now.
They're just mid every year. That's the problem.
I don't care about their program. I don't care if Neil hates the Iowa Hawkeyes. I don't care. Fuck them. Fuck the Iowa. I don't care about Iowa. The players translate well, just like Michigan football players translate well to the NFL. We have the Dallas Wolverines. I don't know if you guys caught up onto that, but the Dallas Cowboys just went all in on Michigan players. The Niners took Moody, but that's it. Let's start with Q&A. All right, questions in the chat. Jeff and I will start reading them, and we'll go one by one.
By the way, if you would have told me that Jake Moody would have went before Keely Ringo, like, this is why this draft has been entertaining. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. So shout out to Jake Moody playing in San Francisco with the 49ers.
That's what the medical's for. God knows. God knows what's going on.
Good point.
All right, let's see. We'll start with question number 1. Why does Iowa get such a bad rap from Neil? Neil just, and he's right. I mean, they're never good. They're just never good. They never deliver. They never win the big game. That doesn't mean the players aren't good.
Right.
I know Braylon walked off the set when they took Jack Campbell. Again, I think it's funny. 1, it's actually hilarious. But 2, that's just, you can't get caught up in the moment. You know?
What about this question? Mailbag, how do you feel with the Martin pick, John Lord asks? They traded up and got Broderick Martin. And again, massive human being. I don't really have much to say. Clearly, they like him. He wasn't really on anyone's radar, at least that early. But again, I don't know. Love the upside. I mean,
I don't care.
If you're 6'5", 330.
I don't care. I'm not going to sit here and engage
Neil will like that one.
I'm not going to engage in this bullshit, and I'll tell you guys why, okay? To trade back into the 3rd round for a guy that probably would have been a 5th-round pick, I don't care. I don't care. Maybe Brad just didn't feel like picking with all those picks. He's like, fuck it. Let me move up. Let me get my guy so I can chill for the night. I don't know. I don't care. To me, it's a whatever pick. I'm not holding any weight into it. If he ends up being a good run stopper, great. If he doesn't, cool. I'll move on with my life. It's a 3rd-round pick. I don't care. He gave up a bunch of 5th and 4ths. I don't care at all.
Yeah.
Moving on. All right, with the additions to the secondary and a healthy Pascal and Levi, watch out, ladies and gentlemen. Levi's a tricky one, guys. I have 0 expectations for Levi Onwuzurike, and I'm not going to go into the season expecting him to do anything. But, I mean, I have to agree. The secondary upgrades, Mosley, Sutton, C.J. Gardner-Johnson,
and
Brian
they're
Branch
doing a little bit of what Howie Roseman does, where you're taking guys like a Brian Branch, even though you have C.J. Gardner-Johnson, just in case.
Oh, yeah.
Like
yeah, but you know what the Eagles don't do?
That's how you plan ahead.
You know what the Eagles don't do?
Don't do it. Draft running backs in the first
Moving
round.
on.
Move on.
Adam, why aren't you smoking your hookah? Because, man, I've been smoking too much. I smoked Friday morning on the show.
Yeah.
I smoked Friday night for the 2nd round. I not only smoked a hookah, but I also smoked a cigar, and me and my wife kind of...
stogie. You got a stogie, too.
Oh, yeah.
Your lungs are toasted right now.
Oh, yeah. And we went through most of the wine we had in the house. So, yeah, we had a fun night. I
like this question. Jesse asked, what positions do you think Brad will go after in these few picks? I would say maybe a guard, another D tackle just for depth, or a wideout. What do you think?
I don't give a shit.
I would say corner
I'm
and
not
going
to sit here and try to predict Brad Holmes again. Like, this year, I'm done. Don't ask me what I think he's going to do, because I have no idea. I thought I had a really good pulse on what was going to happen, just like last year. Last year, it worked out perfectly for me. This year, don't ask me, because I have no goddamn idea. Thank you very much. Michael, what's up?
Someone asked, Adam, do you think Swift gets traded today?
Oh, yeah. Swift 100% gets traded.
Get a 4th rounder.
I put this out on Twitter yesterday. If I'm Brad Holmes, I pick up the phone, okay? I give a call to any team that's interested. I pick up the phone, whatever it is. Hey, guys. Yeah, I'm listening. DeAndre Swift? What do I want for him? Let me put you on hold. 1 second. Let me talk to my team. Hey, guys, anybody like Chick-fil-A around here? You?
I'll take Chick-fil-A.
Excellent. I'll take 6 months of free Chick-fil-A. All right, bye-bye. That's it. That's all he's worth. That's all he's worth. Give me 6 months of Chick-fil-A, I will send you DeAndre Swift. Hell, I will pay for the flight to send him to your city.
And I don't have to wait in the Chick-fil-A line? Man. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. And by the way, 3 positions I'm looking for late in the draft. I'll just name them: wide receiver, guard, corner. Well, whatever way he pursues it. Maybe he gets more picks, but those are the positions I'm still looking for.
All right, what other questions do we have in here? Let's see.
How excited do you think Ben Johnson is getting LaPorta and Gibbs? Both guys lined up at receiver at points in college.
Do you guys know the South Park meme where the dude is sitting in front of his computer nodding all over it?
Yeah.
That is Ben Johnson right now in the film room.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. I don't. All right. Would you take a 4th or a package for Swift and another player before he gets injured? I don't think they get a 4th, guys. They're lucky to get a 6th-round pick. I think they're lucky to get a 6th. And even then, that's pushing it.
He's in a contract year. He's never available.
I think the Lions have to give up a 7th and Swift for a 6th. That's how I think. That's how bad I think that value is.
By the way, shout out to Mike in the Jet.
Mike who?
Micro.
Oh, what's up, Mike?
The main man.
All right, what else do we got in here? I really don't understand the safety pick. That was the last position we needed. Sure, he's a good player, but we had absolutely no need for another safety. Well, you do, okay? 1, you stole him where he was at, okay? Number 2, let me just talk to you about the player before I get to why you need him. Brian Branch was the anchor of a Nick Saban defense. For those of you that don't understand what that means, this is his communicator. This is the guy that is held accountable for everything that goes on in a Nick Saban defense. I love Nick Saban coached players.
Yeah.
They typically don't have that raw potential because Nick Saban always coaches them up to what they really are.
Yeah.
So you usually know what you're getting. I think you're getting an excellent player. And let's all remember, C.J. Gardner-Johnson is on a 1-year deal. That's his exact position. We saw the Eagles do this recently with players that they drafted. They already had all-pro level talent there, and then they swapped them out when the contracts came up. I expect the same to happen this offseason. I think Gardner-Johnson, whether he has a good or bad, doesn't matter. I don't think the Lions are going to extend him on that 4-year, let's call it $60 million, $70 million deal that he's going to command because he is that type of player. They'll have Brian Branch waiting with 3 years left on his deal.
The jump right in the nickel, dude. Just sub right in for him. It's seamless.
I think it's a great fit. Fit. Secondary is also a position where you're always going to rotate guys, just like your defensive line.
Right. And AG plays with a lot of. I mean, he plays with a lot of.
Emmanuel
DBs.
Mosley is to be determined what his contributions will be this year. Tracy Walker is coming off an Achilles injury.
It's more insurance.
It's a lot of insurance. I think it's a high-value pick. Good on Brad for making it.
He could play like 4 positions. I love it. Let's see what other questions we got.
Looks like Brad has put a black mark on all Georgia players. Any thoughts that he hasn't drafted any yet? Look, I told you guys before the draft. Okay? And this is not because you wanted Jalen Carter and haha. This is not a haha moment. I'm not going to do that shit. Okay? But Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, and that's your core duo right now in Allen Park, they have told me for 2 years that they don't believe in that. For 2 years, they've told me this. You want me to expect going into this draft that they were going to break all the rules and the foundation they've set for a player that the night before the draft releases a statement and says, yeah, I could have worked harder. Could have, really? But hey, I think I've done enough to be here. Talk about entitlement. Just too many red flags. Too many red flags. The Nolan Smith thing with Philly getting him at the end of the first round, don't talk to me about it. Every team passed on Nolan Smith. I don't want to hear it. I don't see the medicals. I don't hear the conversations that are happening in the war room. I'm not getting into that hyperbole at all.
Philly, we'll see.
You're bricked up.
I'm going to be following Jalen Carter. I just want to see how it plays out. Now that he's on the Eagles, hopefully it just completely fizzles out. But I want to get to more of these questions, too. I know, Luke G., you asked the question, how many day one starters did the Lions draft? Well, if you think about it, day one, Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he's playing. Sam LaPorta could easily start day one as well. I think Jack Campbell will compete. I think he should. But again, they'll find a way to play Jack Campbell. Brian Branch might not play as much, but again, this is more of down the line. You're looking at, will we re-sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? What happens in a year from now? Brian Branch, they'll find ways to get him involved, but he'll probably more likely play next year, depending on what happens with Chauncey. But then you got, Broderick Martin. You're going to see him this year. Hendon Hooker, again, he's not a starter. But again, it's not about getting guys always for this year. You got to start planning 5 years, a couple years in advance. That's what the Eagles do. That's what good teams do. Once the Lions start filling a lot of their holes, you got to start getting guys for the future. Hendon being one of them, and I think Brian Branch being another. And it's the smart move. So they got multiple guys that'll play day one. There's no question about that. Let's get some of these questions.
Gibbs is not starting over Montgomery. Marked Royal. Okay, look. So it's not about who starts.
Yeah, guys.
This is such. You take this then.
2023 in the NFL today. There's not too many strictly bell cow. I mean, you have Saquon, Derrick Henry. It's typically a shared backfield. So whether Jahmyr starts or not, he's going to get 15 touches a game, like he should. So whether he starts, David Montgomery starts, I don't care. Will I see Jahmyr Gibbs? Yes. Will I see him often? Yes. Jamison Williams out for the first games. You think you'll see Jahmyr Gibbs more often? Yes. Because of what he can do in the pass game. So, again, the starting, who cares? Will he play and will he make an impact? Yes. There's your answer.
They didn't pay Montgomery $18 million to take a back seat to a rookie. Well, my friend, it's actually $11.5, $12 million. They can get out of the contract after the second year for relatively nothing.
And Jahmyr isn't a guy you're giving 20 carries to.
No, I'm giving David Montgomery 14 carries a game.
Yes.
15 carries a game. And maybe he gets one catch a game. Maybe.
Yeah, it's
on
how
average.
Many snaps are they playing?
And then Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the guy that gets 5, 6, 7 carries.
Yes.
But catches the ball 3, 4, 5 times a game because of how explosive he is. That's what I see happening. I don't care who starts. It doesn't matter to me. All right, what else do we have in here? Will Jack Campbell be a better player than Kalijah Kancey? I want to hear Adam's opinion. Will Jack Campbell be a better player than Calijah Kancey?
He's putting you at two guys you
I
like.
mean, they're just such different positions, though.
I know.
Like, I wish he would have said Drew Sanders or Jack Campbell or, Calijah Kancey, Jalen
You like
Carter.
Drew Sanders, though. You were coming along on him.
Oh, man, I mean, his pass rushing ability, yeah, how do you not fall in love with that? But, no, Jack Campbell was the overall better prospect.
Yeah.
More athletic, huge, uber productive in college, the best pass cover linebacker in this draft. It wasn't even close.
Yeah. I mean, he won the Buckus Award. Like,
What do you got, Michael?
Let's not act like he's a scrub here.
What positions do you think they address?
I'm going to agree with Jeff. I think they're probably going to look for a wide receiver, and they'll look for a guard. I'm going to agree with Jeff on that one.
Joe says, Adam and Jeff, we now have threats to take it to the house at every level on offense. One missed tackle away from TDs. Also gives our defense a chance to pin their ears back and get to the quarterback, plus play from a lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't hate it.
That's true, Joe.
All right, let's see. By the way, fun fact. You want to know what pissed me off the most about Calijah Kancey going at 19? Because I haven't even talked about Calijah Kancey yet.
What's up?
You know who's going to be lining up next to?
Vita Vea. It's a massive human being.
You got the ultimate run stopper
And a dude who's...
and a rookie pass rusher. I mean...
By the way, I want to address this, okay? Because
Go
this
for
is... I can't believe this is an actual thing.
What? Come on,
let's see.
I don't got time for BS this morning.
It was... Yeah, I want to just see. I forgot who said it, but it's basically... Oh, here we go. Perishing Doughboy. Why draft a running back who is splitting carries at pick 12? That is way too high. Guys, it's...
Well, no. He's right.
No, he's not. And
I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
And then you tell me why I'm wrong.
Okay.
I'll tell you where he's coming from.
Okay,
Where
tell
he's
me.
coming from is literally conventional knowledge, common sense, tells us running backs in the first round doesn't work. It doesn't translate to anything. It's the lowest valued position outside of kicker, punter, special teamers. Okay?
Yep.
That's what the data tells us for the last 20 years.
Okay.
I think to your point, that's not what you're drafting him for.
Bingo.
You're drafting him as a weapon. You're drafting him, and look, guys, we throw names all around. I'm just going to use what people are throwing out there for argument's sake here. Deebo Samuel, Alvin Kamara. Okay, fine, I'll give you that, whatever. Let me move on from it. The point is, you're drafting a guy that adds a different dimension to your offense. This is an offense that you thought it was good last year. You thought it was humming last year. Wait till you see what happens this year. They're going to be a lot better. The only thing I'll disagree with him on is they didn't draft him to carry the ball 14, 15 times a game. That's not where he's excellent. Alvin Kamara, for example, is at his best when he gets 9, 10, 11 touches and they have the lead, and then he catches 4, 5, 6 passes, not when they're down. That's when Alvin Kamara is at his best and he impacts the game most.
Yes.
When the Saints are losing and they get dump off after dump off and he has 10, 11 catches, that doesn't move the needle for me. Everybody in fantasy is happy, but it doesn't mean shit for the team. So I get where he's coming from, but when we talk about first-round running backs, that's the people you have to hold accountable, because that's true, though.
Yeah.
He makes a point.
But you're also looking at Jahmyr Gibbs as a traditional running back. He's an overall, he's a hybrid wide receiver running back. So it's not just about getting carries. You have to bring up him getting touches, as in what he's doing in the pass game, what he's doing in the run game. He will be involved, like especially without J-Mo this year for the first 6 games. So stop looking at it in one-dimensional, right? How many carries is he going to get? It's not about carries. It's carries and how many touches is he going to get in the pass game, which I think he will be utilized. He's a home run hitter.
Look, at this point, and I did this Wednesday, we sat down, we went over the most recent 10 drafts in the NFL, okay? And I told you, man, these guys that are going from 18 to 38 to 42, you wind up thinking back the next year like, damn, I would have taken them in the top 10.
Right.
And that was kind of a preview because, you and I had conversations about this. You had a really bad feeling, and not a bad feeling, but a gut feeling. Like, hey, Lions are probably going to trade back, and they're going to go unconventional here. And, of course, it shaped out that way. I did not expect a running back, which is why the shock is still in me right now. But they've kind of done what we talked about Wednesday, and it's hard for me to kill them for it. Do I love the running back pick? You guys know how I feel. I don't have to repeat myself. That doesn't mean I don't think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be an absolute stud on the field for the Lions. Let's continue with the questions. Campbell better start year 1. Look, I would imagine, you can hold me accountable for this. Lions are going to play 4-2-5 all year in most sets, in most scenarios. That has to be it. And I think it's Anzalone and it's Campbell. And I think Malcolm takes a back seat and he comes in 20, 30% of the time for rest, whether it's Anzalone or Campbell.
Right.
That's what I think. You don't take Campbell at 18 and he doesn't start. He's a starter. And I think that shows what the team thinks. I'm sorry. For all you Rodrigo fans and all you Anzalone fans, it's what they think of the position. These guys can't pass cover, and they are inconsistent. Not that they can't, but Anzalone, especially Rodrigo, are inconsistent in run support. Jack Campbell, I think, fills that need day one. Let's see what other questions we have. The Lions made Calvin Johnson prove himself over Mike Fury, who wasn't even a wide... Well, I mean, let's be honest. The coaching staff wasn't ideal. This was the Rod Marinelli, Matt Millen era. All right, guys? Let's chill out. Let's chill out. Don't throw around Mike Fury, who used to be a good option in Madden back in the day, by the way. All right, what else do we have here? A lot of GMs said that this was only a 15-player draft, meaning only 15 players are true first-round picks. Well, yeah, that was the point Wednesday.
Yeah, it's a deep,
that was the point, because you were going to grade guys in the second, third round who were good football players, who could contribute right away, but they don't measure out or test out to be first-round talent.
Right.
And then you look back the next year or the year after, and you're like, Fred Warner was a third-round pick. Yeah. Alvin Kamara was a third-round pick. Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, second-round picks. And then you see people like Cole Strange go in the first round, right? So it happens. Justin Blackmon was the 5th overall pick in an NFL draft that I believe, if I remember correctly, had 3 All-Pro players go between 33 and 37 that year. Justin Blackmon was the top 5 pick, though.
I mean, go back to Justin Jefferson. I mean,
There you
Jalen
go.
Reagor was drafted out of Justin Jefferson. I mean, we forget that. It is what it is. This draft is deeper.
All right.
I don't know about how deep, but Brad knows in the second and third round, there was a lot of value there.
All right, question that nobody can answer. Who's your starting 2 safeties? Is it Walker or Joseph or C.J. Branch? What combo? Well, I can answer. It's Walker and Joseph, day one. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson is going to be in the slot like he was in Philly.
There you go.
That's an easy one. And then Brian Branch's job is going to be
Special
substitute.
teams, maybe?
No, I maybe.
Because if you might not play a ton.
But he'll probably get a 30% snap count year one.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. I think that's the fewest he'd get. I don't see them not giving him more than that. I think Brian Branch is the guy that comes in, learns from one of the best slot position players.
Oh, yeah.
And C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's in a good situation, not a lot of pressure. And then if you decide that you can't come to terms with Gardner-Johnson in the offseason, you have Brian Branch for the next 3 years, and you're paying him nothing. Way to go, Brad. Honestly, love the move.
Mm-hmm.
Mailbag. Let's see. Who's more likely to be on the Grizzly Man Outdoors, Sam LaPorta or Jack Campbell?
Oh,
It's
Jack
gotta be,
Campbell.
I think it's got to be Sam LaPorta.
Jack Campbell, when he took his introductory press conference, not that he was not the one at Allen Park, but the one where he Zoom called in.
Yeah.
He's just out in the country. Like Jack Campbell to me, man, he's a Dan Campbell guy. I mean, obviously the irony is Campbell is his last name, but besides that, Campbell, I believe Jack Campbell eats, sleeps, breathes football. So he's probably going to be on Grizzly Man Outdoors. He seems like that guy. I see a lot.
Do you think the Seahawks, who by the way had a good draft, shout out to the Seahawks, do you think the Seahawks locked up that next spot under Philly and San Fran in the conference? I would say it's us and them for that third spot. The only issue I have with Seattle is I like our quarterback more.
Oh yeah, there's more data.
I like our offensive line more.
Yes.
I love our secondary more because of the free agent signings. Now, do I like theirs more long-term? Of course, because they drafted all of them.
You know what I like more, too? The division we're in, compared to what division the Seahawks are in.
But you're going to ask me roster to roster.
Yes.
I do think Seattle is close. I don't think it's a wide margin. But we can't forget about Dallas. So I think right now it's got to go Philly, San Francisco. I am going to go out on a limb and say I like the Lions roster more than Dallas. I still would put Dallas, though, ahead of Seattle, and I think those are all very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
Fair?
Fair. Seattle got better. You can't deny that.
All right, so, wait. I missed a question. Where is it? So we now have one of the most solid secondaries in the conference. We had Jack Campbell. We didn't address the interior defensive line. Do you think it's because Brad has faith in what we have on the roster? Yeah, I'd imagine, yes.
And I think part of that is Brad just going strictly, guys that are on top of his draft boards, and maybe where they were selecting, there wasn't a defensive tackle that was higher than who he took. I don't think Brad sits there and goes, oh, we're fine at defensive tackle. I don't think he thought that. But the players he took, they were the best players on his board. So, again, I think defensive tackle is still a need. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, it's fixed. Aleem McNeil, he's nice, he's solid, but they're still going to need to address that. But we'll see.
Let's see. Questions are not so easy, are they, Adam? No, they're not. No, they're not. You guys are doing good so far. Look, obviously, the rest of the draft is going to be going on this weekend. I'm really, honestly, not going to pay much attention. I could care less at this point. I think this is where teams really dive in the most, because now it's, can I find a player that's going to be the next Amon-Ra St. Brown? Can I find the Tariq Woolen of this year's draft? I think that's where teams are in right now. They're trying to find that guy that's way better than they even thought when they bring him in the building. That's what rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7 are about. This is when your team can go from a conference contender to a damn Super Bowl contender with some of the players you can find in the later rounds.
That's what they say. The first round, you're getting starters, and then late in the rounds, you draft guys that are going to be able to contribute to a Super Bowl team. So We'll see what they do.
All right. Guys, don't look too much into the depth chart. I think that would be my advice for you this entire offseason. Just don't.
Just got to get to camp.
Just don't do it.
Let these guys play.
Do you think we could get a 7th rounder for Swift? Chick-fil-A would be nice too. I'm picking up the phone. All right, you guys can call me. You want I will trade on behalf of the Detroit Lions. I will be their legal advisor here. I'll take a 7th round pick and 6 months of Chick-fil-A for DeAndre Swift. And if you make it 12 months, I'm willing to void the 7th round pick.
Just give it to him for free.
We're negotiating here.
It's pretty.
This is a negotiation. Okay? All right. Do you guys think they will spend the rest of the cap to fill needs if we don't draft them? Jeff, Adam. Jeff, go ahead.
I mean, there's always possibility for trades, and that's what I love about Brad is he's always going to keep things flexible, whether it's cap space or whatever Brad's doing. There's always a process to it. So the fact that they have cap space, they still have some positions you'd like him to address. Brad's not done. There's still some time till we get to the season. So, yes, I think there's some truth to that, having some cap space. Just keeping flexibility open in case anything arrives.
Adam, do you believe the Lions will have a top 5 offense again this year? Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, they only got better. They've added a much more young, fresh, dynamic tight end. They've added a very good running back. I'm just going to ignore where he was taken. The offense is going to be better. And when Jameson Williams returns from his suspension, I would like to see what that complete offense looks like together, but it's the NFL. Injuries are going to happen. Stupid suspensions are going to happen. You just got to deal with it. But yeah, I still think the Lions are going to put out a better offense. I think I have one concern, though. I think the Lions are going to be winning more games this year, and they're going to opt to run the ball more and control the clock, and I think total yards and points per game might take a hit at times, just because this is a team that's going to be playing keep away because they're up 2 possessions in the 4th quarter and they're in full control of the game.
Right.
So it is what it is.
And everybody does now have a year of tape on Ben Johnson. So
I'm more concerned about the defense. Give me a top 15 defense and Jared Goff can get you to an NFC title game. I've seen it throughout his entire career.
And I've
seen it with mid quarterbacks, Case Keenum, you name them. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yep.
You give them a good, very good defense, and your coach knows what the hell he's doing. Hell, Mike Zimmer made an NFC championship game. Or was it Lindsey? I forget who with Case Keenum. I forget who the coach was at the time. But
it might have been Mike Zimmer.
I'm pretty sure it was Zimmer, but it doesn't matter. The point is, if your coach knows what he's doing and you can field the top 15 defense, and you have this kind of offense in Detroit, you can get to an NFC championship game. You're in every football game. So it's on the defense this year. To me, I'm looking at the defense more than the offense.
Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. Even if the Lions didn't take a single defensive player, didn't sign a single one, and didn't draft a single one, the defense by default will get better. So they added a lot in free agency. They added some players in the draft. Defense is going to be much improved.
All right. Hooker is my guy. Very happy we drafted him. There was one more comment about Hooker. Hooker is indeed a backup. Look, guys, there's only, in my opinion, you can look at it however you want. I'm not going to tell you what you should think or do. But to me, and I think this is the most compelling argument I can make for Hendon Hooker, he's insurance. Mm-hmm. And that's all he is. And you pay it every month. And if Jared Goff goes down, you got to pay that's why you pay insurance. You have him there waiting. And if he sits a full season and Jared Goff delivers and you win the North and you win a playoff game and you're going into the next season thinking about how you can get to the Super Bowl, are we contenders, this and that? Well, then who cares? It's a third-round pick. I'm not losing sleep over it. Hendon Hooker's good insurance. I don't think it changes the future for Jared Goff here. I think only Jared Goff can play his way out of town unless Hendon Hooker
is that good
to like Russell Wilson type camp, to Patrick Mahomes type learning process, flashes in practice. It'll take that level of performance, I think, to knock off Jared Goff, which we saw with Alex Smith and, of course, Matt Flynn.
And I love this comment. Logan Fisher says, WoodwardSports.com, the comment about Hooker as a backup, well, so was Garoppolo and Brissett when the Patriots got them and traded them for picks.
What is it? I missed the last part of it. I'm sorry.
He said, Hooker's a backup, so was Garoppolo and Brissett when the Patriots got them and traded
flipped
them
for picks. Absolutely.
So, guys,
you don't lose in this scenario.
Yeah.
If Hooker sucks, you didn't waste anything. It was a third-round pick. If Hooker is amazing, like franchise-level amazing, you have a quarterback.
Yeah.
If he's just pretty good, somebody will pay a second-round pick for pretty good.
Absolutely.
I've seen it all my life.
Teams need quarterbacks. That's how it works.
And they'll pay for him.
Yes, they will.
And they'll pay for him. All right. $28 million to spend on beefing up the team for Hooker. Look, I don't think they spend the money. I don't think they spend the money. They're going to have a ton of cap next year. I think the Lions are comfortable with what they have at the moment. Mm-hmm. I just don't see it. And they
got guys coming down the pipeline too soon. Like Jonah Jackson will be up for an extension. Like you got to keep some money available here.
We trading for Chase Young today. That would be a blockbuster move. Trade Swift for Young.
And he has no fifth-year option, and he's got to get a contract soon.
Chase Young, man. What a player coming out of college. Unfortunate.
And we talked about his rookie year. I mean, he had a great rookie year.
He was phenomenal.
Just can't stay healthy after that ACL injury. Poor Chase Young.
All right. Bring back Sue? No, I think we pass on that one. Chase Young trade would complete our defense.
Chase Young is a beast.
Jeffrey Simmons. Didn't Jeffrey Simmons sign an extension with Tennessee?
Yes,
I'm pretty sure. So that's off the table. And if you paid attention to what the Titans did, they took Peter Skoronski at 11 and then Will Levis at the top of the second round. I think the Titans are very happy with the direction they're going in. Okay, guys?
Lions Planet says, why didn't we draft Trenton Simpson? He fell.
Because we drafted Jack Campbell.
Which was rightly regarded the best linebacker in the draft.
I'm just giving the reason.
And by the way, for anybody talking about Jack Campbell, Maz brought this up on Ermanni and Edwards, the Buckus Award, which he did win this year. If you look at all the previous Buckus Award winners, like if you talk about hit rate, I mean, you got last year's Nakobe Dean, which we don't know. But even before that, you got guys like Isaiah Simmons, Devin White, Roquan Smith. You go down C.J. Mosley, Luke Kuechly,
motherfuckers.
Von Miller, Patrick Willis.
Oh.
Some dudes. So just because you win the Buckus Award, typically you got to be a dude. So we'll see with Jack Campbell. We'll see.
I don't mind it, man. I don't mind it. I'm feeling good about it. I really am. I don't mind the Campbell pick. I understood the Campbell pick more than I understood Gibbs. And again, it's not to knock Gibbs as a player. I think he's going to be a very good player. But the running back, first round guys, I don't want to keep saying the same shit. You know what it means. You know what it means. You know what it's meant for the last 20 years. If the Lions buck the trend, good on them. And I will eat a huge slice of humble pie and admit I was wrong. But what is the winning in this scenario for the Lions? I know they got a good player. Mm-hmm. I know he's going to contribute on the field. Let's say he is Alvin Kamara. Okay, well, what does that mean? Running backs don't dictate winning. Having the best running backs doesn't mean you win. Having the best quarterbacks, having the best offensive lines,
that's what matters.
Defensive lines, wide receivers, coaches, that's what matters. Secondary players, all of this matters before the running back. And the Lions just don't happen to have a lot of those areas filled right now, right? So you can get behind their risk pick. But I can't do it. I can't do it. What's so funny?
This guy's got glasses on in the booth.
What are you doing? We're working here. We're working here. Jackass. All right. What else we got here? Did you guys hear Brad Holmes say he would have taken Gibbs at 6? And does anyone actually believe that?
No, I don't want to even.
Zero chance.
There's no way. If he took him
guys,
at 6,
have you ever sat down? Do you play in a fantasy football league with your boys at all?
Oh, every year. Yeah.
Do you guys do like an in-person draft together,
Yeah.
like a party?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Bear with me.
I know
This is the example I'm going to use.
And you're right about this.
Okay.
I know what you're going to do.
Have you guys ever held a fantasy football draft party? Okay.
Yeah.
It's coming around. It's almost your turn, and the guy before you is on the clock, and you want a certain player.
Yep.
And I did this most recently, not this past year, but the year prior, 21. The guy before me took Darren Waller in the 2nd round off the top and left me, arguably, running back 5 that year. And you know what I told him when he took the pick?
Great pick.
I hit him on the arm. I said, "Hey man, I was gonna take Darren Waller, bro. Good pick. Good for you." And then
You're
like
so
inside,
right.
I'm just fucking dying laughing.
Yeah.
And then after the draft, I was talking shit and making fun of him the whole night.
You're so right. I hate that you're so right.
I mean, that's just how I see it.
I do that every
Like,
year.
let's not play stupid here,
Yeah.
right? You know when I think teams would have laughed had they taken Gibbs over Beydoun at 6.
Oh, yeah.
Like, come on.
At that point, I would be frustrated because Beydoun would
I get
would have been
it.
on
You
the
like
board.
the player, Brad. You want to defend it. You want to talk about teams wanting to trade up for him. You had a high grade on him. You don't have to defend yourself. You're the general manager of this football team. If the player works out or he doesn't, you're held accountable. Not me, not anybody in the media. You don't have to justify shit in that regard. Okay? Fair?
Fair.
So I don't need to hear all these stories about this team would have moved up or they would have taken him at 6 or they would have traded up to 3 to draft Jahmyr. I don't want to hear that. I don't.
Yeah, let's just talk about what Brad did, not what he would have did. He did trade the 6th pick for the 12th pick and the 34th pick and drafted Jahmyr at 12, shaved some annual salary off the draft pick annually. Like he did good. Did good. Whether you disagree with the running back philosophy
So the
or
Matthew
not.
Stafford trade, by the way, ended up being Jared Goff, Iffy, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam LaPorta.
Okay, let's just wait.
For Matthew Stafford.
Well, let's...
What?
Yeah, no,
What's wrong?
not huge names. I'm just saying when you read that off, it didn't sound... I mean, Jameson, I have a lot of faith in
Oh,
Jameson.
no, yeah. Welcome to real life, bro.
Jahmyr's
Yeah.
nice. Let's just wait. You're stressing me out.
No, but I'm just telling you what the picks... I don't have an opinion on this.
No.
I'm just telling you what the trade ended up being.
It's just funny when you put it into perspective like that. It's like,
Jesus Christ.
It's a lot of players, though. If they
Jeff's
all turn
going to
out
have a heart attack.
If they all turn out to be productive, it's a good trade. We'll see. The players you
That's
named,
not
though,
how I meant it at all.
but the way you said it, it's just, I'm like, wow.
Jeff, do you think Adam is a Jack Harlow guy? I'm going to say no. What do you think?
No.
Thank you.
I would say
Thank
no.
you.
You're more...
Thank you for not disrespecting my entire existence.
No.
I appreciate that.
Album is pretty good, though. Jackman.
Shut up.
What do we got?
Mailbag. If we only get a 7th for Swift, thoughts on keeping him on the roster for depth and leadership? What leadership does DeAndre Swift have? He can't even listen to Deuce Staley. What's he going to teach Jahmyr Gibbs? Hey, Jahmyr, look, when your body feels this way, don't play. Is that what he's going to teach him? What? Kick rocks.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and Swift, he's... No, in Swift is his agent. I mean, if you're giving Swift the best advice, you ain't playing another snap in Detroit. Like, you're in a contract year. You got to go somewhere where you could play. And why the hell would DeAndre coach up his competition? Like, what? What? They drafted him to play the same role as DeAndre. That ain't happening at all.
All right, Swift wouldn't even... No, I'm not even going to go into the Swift slander at this point. I think we've shat on him enough. Poor guy. I hope he has a good future somewhere else. It's just not in Detroit.
He's still immensely talented. He just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I know. The
just-
problem is he comes on the field for Detroit twice a year, and he balls out, and you're like, holy God, this guy can be a top 10 back in the league. He's dynamic. He adds to our offense, and then he's gone the rest of the year. And you're like, hello? DeAndre? Send me the voicemail. All right. What other questions do we have here? By the way, can we do a poll in the chat, if you don't mind?
Gotcha.
I know you put up favorite pick. We had 1,400 people vote on this. 63% agreed Brian Branch. I love you guys. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Having said that, I want you guys to be honest here, and don't just grade because you're feeling good at the moment, or you're in love, or Brad Holmes let him cook. Okay, put out the grades A, B, C, D, and E, or F. I guess you can skip the E. Give me the grades, and the question is going to be: currently, day 1 and 2, what do you rate, and what would you give the Detroit Lions draft so far? And I want to know: an A, is it a B? Feel free. Feel free. I don't think they've done anything less than a C+ for the super pessimist.
Yeah.
I want to know what you think, Jeff, while we wait for everybody to start voting.
I would probably say B. I would say
Really?
B. Yeah, just because maybe the unexpected, some of these guys,
I was
where
expecting
they're
you to go with A, to be honest
yeah,
with
A
you.
is just, I feel like that's too easy. A+, because I love Brad Holmes. No, I'm not going to go that route. I respect Brad. I trust Brad. I'm going to give him a B at this point because I don't know too much about some of these players, especially where they're getting drafted at. I like the players individually, but we gotta wait and see. There's still time, and if these guys all turn out to be productive starters, your bet I'm going to change that grade to an A. But right now it's a B.
I think
as
the
it currently stands.
floor of this draft, bear with me, is a B-. I like the floor here. I think the ceiling, of course, has got to be an A.
Yeah.
But it's tough for me to give them an A grade when they took a running back in the first round. It doesn't matter the player. They took a running back in the first round and a linebacker at 18. I can justify the linebacker. I'm maybe in the minority. I like it more than most because I thought he would have gone between 23 and 27. So really, what's the difference there?
Right.
That doesn't matter to me. And why would you trade back and risk the idea of a team trading up like you did for Gibbs and taking your guy? I don't mind Campbell at 18. Tight end at 34. I brought this up earlier. In the last 10 years, 4 tight ends have been taken in the top 35. The Lions have been responsible for drafting 3 of them.
But to the good side of that,
It's Brad Holmes. I know.
No. It has nothing to do with Brad. The one thing I brought up too with tight ends: stay away from in the first round. George Kittle. I mean, you go across the board, guys in the NFL, top elite tight ends, they're typically not drafted in the first round. So the fact that you got Sam LaPorta in the second round, we'll see.
So Jeff's final grade is a B.
Yeah, I would say B until
I'm going to give him a B+.
we watch these guys.
I'm going to give him a B+.
A B+ for the draft?
Yeah, because I think the value of Brian Branch when they got him, maneuvering back in the draft, collecting capital, and then taking a Hendon hooker, I mean, that second, third round really played out perfectly, in my opinion. They did such a good job. Brad traded very well. Again, NFL GMs, I charge $1,000 an hour, okay? Here's your first free lesson. You get a 313 area code during the war room, during the draft, ignore it. Don't answer. That's the first free advice I'll give you. The rest, we charge $1,000 an hour. Thank you very much.
Good advice.
You can call my assistant at 313-779-8344. Whoever's number I just gave out, by the way, I'm so very sorry if people start calling you. Oh, God.
And do we, again, if we're grading, this is just based on players, because if we factor in trades and him moving around, like...
No, I think overall it's a B+.
Yeah,
I find it difficult to give him less than that. I think he really turned it around. $1,000 an hour sounds like hooker rates. Look, I don't know what kind of hooker you're buying for $1,000 an hour, but it must be.
And is it Hendon hooker, is the question.
Well, I don't know if you're into dudes, but sure, good for you if that's the
No,
case.
I'm not insinuating. No, don't.
That's
don't go
what you
there.
said.
No,
That's what you said, my friend. Okay. Let's see what other questions we have here. Beydoun is going to run and get a lot. Yeah, look, I don't know what Atlanta's thinking. I don't. Like, Desmond Ridder is what he is. I get they are hesitant, and they brought in Heineke, and they're going to try to figure out what's going to happen there. But Tyler Algier was a good running back. To draft Beydoun, and I know he's a phenomenal prospect, I'm going to bitch about it just like I do with the Gibbs pick. Like, even if Beydoun is all-pro 3 of his first 5 years, what impact does that have on winning? And the NFL contracts, the value data points, what we look towards winning would suggest that he would have the fewest impact among all his teammates, in terms of winning, even if he was that good.
Now imagine this, and I agree with that, because that there's truth to what you're saying. But with the Falcons, Desmond Ridder, he's going to start, and he's going to contribute. But you know what he's going to contribute to? Them getting Caleb Williams next year. So think about that for a second. Caleb Williams in this offense with the Falcons. That's what if I'm the GM of the Falcons, that's what I'm looking at. Desmond Ridder, yeah, go out and start. Go get us Caleb Williams next year. to add to this offense. Now that's scary. Very scary.
Let's see what else we have here. Alan said Atlanta said F the depth chart. Yeah, they passed on Jalen Carter. They passed on a lot of players that would have been available at 8 for them, and they got their running back. So I think Atlanta, the best you can do is the best case scenario, and you tell me if you like this.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about the injury history, okay? If Bijan Robinson gives Atlanta what Saquon has given the Giants, is that worth it for you?
So far, is he injured? Like Saquon?
No.
Okay.
No.
Health. Oh, then yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're just a mediocre football team that sneaks into the playoffs as a wild card team.
Well, the
you're not
problem-
good enough to win your division, and he's your best player on offense.
Yes, but when you have a guy like Bijan, what it's going to help is even if you get Caleb Williams, like Daniel Jones, what Saquon
you're assuming
did
next year. I'm talking about Bijan. Like he
let's-
goes out and gives
just
you
for Desmond
Saquon.
Ridder. Yeah, just for having a guy like Bijan. Atlanta doesn't have a quarterback yet, so they draft Bijan. They want to run the football. They drafted a tackle, I believe, as well. They want to run the football. Maybe they don't think Tyler Algier is a guy they can just strictly put 25 carries on for the future. They want Bijan. They want a dual backfield. I can see what the Falcons are trying to do. And Saquon with the Giants, he essentially got Daniel paid. Like, if you think about it, like Daniel threw 15 touchdowns and just got $40 million. So,
And the Giants are still hesitant on paying him. Think about that.
well, he's also been,
It doesn't matter.
because injuries are concerning. But
That's what
Saquon's
happens at
he's-
that position,
he's
though.
elite.
You name me a single top running back in the NFL today that hasn't struggled with injuries. Derrick Henry? Yep.
Well,
Christian
for
McCaffrey?
a while he didn't really get injured.
Sure. But
he
has
just started.
Has it in the beginning of
But
his career?
do you think
or in the later parts? Did he not struggle with injuries?
And Derrick Henry, what was he, a second-round pick, I believe? I don't even think Derrick Henry's a first-round pick. Regardless, because that would
Beyond
go
the
to your
point.
point. Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey struggles with injury?
For
Dalvin
the-
Cook?
Yeah, for those couple of years he did.
But that's the
And
point. I'm
Dalvin,
losing a
yes.
couple years always with all
Yeah.
these running backs. Dalvin Cook. God, other top running backs in the league right now, they've been around for a while.
I mean, Alvin
Alvin
Kamara.
Kamara. I mean, the suspension thing.
But before
God
that.
knows what's going to happen there. But still, all of them deal with it. That's the problem with the position.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when we talk about value, that is such a difficult position to stay healthy at. Because you're getting beat up all the time. All the time.
Especially for workhorse backs, you're given 25 carries to. Like I said,
and again, that's not going to be Jahmyr in theory, right? It's not
Right.
going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. By the way, Jahmyr Gibbs said something in his press conference with the Lions, and it fucking got me. He said something, and it poked me right in the heart.
What was it? Was it the quote about Barry?
No, I love Barry, but no.
Well,
He compared himself. One of the first players out of his mouth was Jamal Charles.
oh.
And that pulled a string on me. As a former Jamal Charles fantasy football owner, just remembering what Jamal Charles did in the NFL for those few years when he was at his peak, that was fun to watch if you were a Chiefs fan. But that would be exceptional. He also mentioned Marshall Faulk, I believe. He hit home runs on the names he mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Did you see Brian Branch? I know he's going to gas him up, but he was talking about Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, he called him Alvin Kamara 2.0. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. All right, what other questions do we have here? We'll be wrapping up soon, guys. Probably we got 7 minutes left on the stream. Appreciate all of you hanging out. We appreciate it as always. Gibbs, a steal at 12. I'm not even sure if that's a statement or sarcasm, so we're going to have to work with something else here. Jalen Carter could prove to be the best player in the draft. Let's not act like that isn't a possibility. Yes, Cartier?
He is right. He's right.
You are correct. And there is also the side where he could be the biggest bust of this draft, given where he was selected and his inability to think for himself. I am not in love with Jalen Carter. I trust Jack Campbell to work out more than Jalen Carter. I trust Christian Gonzalez in New England
You
to
mean
work out more.
work out as in just be a suitable NFL player?
In the NFL,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, not be like the ceiling and everything like
I mean,
that.
we talk
of
about
course.
Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis did what last year? With a very good defense. What did he do?
Well, he didn't.
And this will be his prove-it year, I know. And I know we're going to treat Brian Branch like they treated Jordan Davis last year, but that's not the point.
Right.
When he was on the field, where was the special? Where was the wow that Rico from 97.1 told me they had to take him number 2 overall? Huh? Where? Where was the wow?
Well, this year
I took the motherfucker at number 2 that was the best player at his position in the draft,
absolutely.
and I'm really happy with it.
But the amount of defensive linemen the Eagles have, the depth they have, he didn't play a ton last year. He'll play this year, so we'll see.
All right. Where do the Lions defense rank at the end of the season? You know what? Honestly, I would be happy with 18. I would love to see them sneak into the top 15.
I was going to say,
but I still think.
What do you think the floor is? Like
the worst case scenario?
Yeah, I would say 18.
22nd, 23rd.
Oh, you're still in the 20s.
I mean, Aaron Glenn is their defensive coordinator. I mean, I don't know what we're doing here.
Gosh.
If Robert Saleh was the defensive coordinator here and he got fired from the Jets and we brought him here.
But AG was also the D coordinator.
By the way, that's my bold prediction. I think AG goes at the end of the year. Robert Saleh gets fired from the Jets debacle, comes home, takes the job defensive coordinator for the Lions, and they roll out a top 10 defense the following year. Call me Nostradamus from now or a complete fucking idiot. One of the two are going to be true, okay? That's what I think.
You just like your guys from Dearborn. That's what we're
No, seriously. I just think Robert Saleh right now has proven to be a way better defensive coordinator than a head coach. I would love to have him as a defensive coordinator. I think any team would love to have him.
Absolutely. Every team in the NFL would take him as a defensive coordinator. He's elite. He's good.
How about Houston? They're doubling down last night. Again, they did good, man. DeMeco Ryans. I told you he was my favorite hire of the offseason. They got Will Anderson, C.J. Stroud.
Drafted a center. They got Nathaniel Dell.
Yeah.
They're
out here. They're not playing games. I love it. I love it. The last 10 games, we had a top 10 defense, only surrendering 20 points a game. Yep, I know. And then look at the first 7 games of the year. And you were the worst defense in the NFL, and you still ended up ranking out because how bad you were. You still ended up ranking out to having the 31st defense in the NFL. Think about that. Think about that. So, yeah, even if the Lions theoretically have the 18th best defense this year, I'm legitimately making that phone call to Robert Saleh and trying to figure out if I can make the move happen. Sorry. Give me a top-end defensive coordinator because Aaron Glenn hasn't proven to be that yet. And I've seen Robert Saleh, guys like DeMeco Ryans, put out defenses before people even knew the players that were on the team, before they were ever special all-pros. I've seen them develop those type of players.
And AG, even despite the signings the Lions have made, the Lions defense is still one of the youngest defenses in the league. They might be the youngest. So, I mean, even AG this year, with more talent on the defense, it's a big year for AG in this defense. So they got to improve.
All right, let's go to this question. I missed it, damn it. Moody, what'd you think of the Moody pick? Good for the Niners. Good for the Niners.
They had like 3 picks at the bottom of the
third
round.
You have an all-pro at every position on the field.
You could take Jake Moody.
You can do whatever you want. And last I checked, by the way, guys, and I mean this in a good way. I don't mean it in a bad way, so please don't take it like a bunch of soft asses, okay? Brad Holmes, I love him as a GM so far. I think he's done a phenomenal job. That does not mean a time will come where he chooses a player over another and it doesn't work. Or that he takes a player and he trades up for him in theory and they don't pan out in the NFL. Those days are ahead of you. Those days very well might be ahead of you sooner than you think. And why I'm saying that is it's okay. It happens. You think San Francisco 49er fans want John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan out of the building right now because they drafted Trey Lance and gave up 3 first-round picks for him? You think that's the case?
No.
I don't see anybody coming after John Lynch. I don't see anybody coming after Kyle Shanahan. You win football games. You start winning divisions. You have a lot more leeway than when you go 3-13-1 and then 9-8, okay? So go out this year, exceed expectations. Hell, just deliver expectations. And I think a lot of people are going to shut their mouths and you have something to fall back on. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just going to say like worst case scenario. Worst case scenario that Jameson Williams actually doesn't end up working in the NFL. Or that Jahmyr Gibbs has a similar career to DeAndre Swift. What is Brad Holmes' fallback? You got to start winning on the field now. Hopefully you guys take that in a positive way because that's how I mean it. If not, you can clip it, share it, do whatever the hell you want. I don't give a fuck. All right. It's 11:14. Guys, Jeff, Broder, Mike, thank you guys. Appreciate you coming out here on a Saturday. Thank you to everybody in the chat. and watching over at woodwardsports.com. Make sure you like the video. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Also, by the way, 4 o'clock today, Big D Energy draft reactions. Their clip is going to be posted on our main channel.
Yep.
YouTube.com/Woodward Sports. Or you can find it on woodwardsports.com. Both are going to be available. Watch it. Their draft reactions to round 1. You guys are going to love it. Till Monday. We're out of here. Enjoy the rest of the draft. Jeff, Mike, and Broder, thank you guys so much. We're out of here.
Good job, Ice.